Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victoria Ayodele Fash. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. For a new subscriber, I love you, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for always watching my videos, for always coming back. I am super grateful to you guys. Okay, so today I want to address a question that someone asked me. All right, so quickly before we get into today's video, I want to quickly talk to you guys about Lemfi. Lemfi is a reliable payment platform that my families and my friends used to send monies abroad. Yes, especially if you're a resident in the United States, in the UK, and in Canada. Lemfi is the most reliable payment platform that you can use to send monies to your families in Kenya, in Senegal, in Ivory Coast, in Cameroon, in Benin, in Tanzania, in Uganda, and in Rwanda. Yes, so if you have any family members in all of these countries, or you're in any of these countries and you have family members in the United States especially, or in the UK or in Canada, and they're always giving you excuse as to how they cannot send money, please introduce them to Lemfi. With Lemfi, you get 0 transaction fees for all of your transaction on the app. Yes, absolutely no transaction fee. And what's even more interesting is when you use the link in the description box below to download Lemfi, you get a 10% cash back on your first transaction of $150 and above, capped at $50. Okay, so use the link below, or if you already have the app and you're yet to transact, make sure you use the code FASHFAM. As you can see down here, make sure you use FASHFAM for your transactions on Lemfi to get a 10% cashback capped at $50. Okay, so guys, what are you waiting for? Use the link below to enjoy fast, reliable transaction. Okay, and also remember that there is no exchange rate in the market that beats Lemfi. Lemfi offers the most competitive, and the best exchange rate in the market. So make sure that you download Lemfi using the app, using the link below, or you use the code FASHFAM today. Okay, thank you guys so very much. Okay, all right, so let's quickly get into today's video. If you've sent me questions on Instagram and I'm yet to respond, please don't be upset. I've had a really stressful time, really stressful week season, really, because you guys know I just started a new job, and it's juggling that with school, with my project. It's just been a lot. Okay, but I will try to get to all of your questions, so just please bear with me. Okay, all right, so let us get into today's video. So she said, hello Victoria, hope you're doing well. I have a question. I really don't know who can advise me on this, but since you seem to have really good advice for us ladies, I thought about you precisely. Oh, thank you. She said, I'm a 28-year-old young woman, single, always has been. She said, like you, I'm waiting for marriage for doing the do, like you say. She said, I've always wanted to find somebody who thinks like me in all aspects. I'm interested in a man who happens to be my colleague. He's a patient guy. He's 35 and let's say that he has had a life behind him, meaning he already lived with a woman, never been married though. She said, my question is, I like this guy a lot, but I've never considered being with a man with such experience, and I feel like I am stuck on this aspect, and I feel frustrated because I cannot help it. What advice would you give to me to forgive and not consider that much of his past? I feel like other women would have stolen our first time living together, doing the do, being pregnant, because he has no child boy. He had been expecting once ago. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. How do you think I can develop a relationship with him, letting all of this away? So thank you for reaching out again. All right, so now back to the question. So she's not the first person I've had in this dilemma. I've never done this before. I've never had this experience before, and I always want to experience these things for the first time with my partner when I get married. But the person that I'm interested in already has this experience with other women. I feel like, why should I have to wait and do all of that only to end up with someone who has experienced everything with someone else? I think that in some level, I have felt that way before, and I said in some level because personally for me, that was never my focus. I was focused more on other things that I wanted from my husband. Whether or not he has had a past was not really a focus for me, because I believe that everybody has had a past, but I also have friends who told me categorically that, I'm a virgin, I'm waiting, and I want a man who is also a virgin and he's waiting. I don't want, I want us to experience everything the first time doing everything together. I don't want him to have any memories with any woman. So again, I totally understand how you're feeling, and to be honest, I respect everybody's decision in that aspect. If you are not comfortable with someone who has had experience, I don't think you should force yourself to be in a relationship with that person, right? However, I also believe that everybody has had a past. Before you will see a man that has not had a past, you know, I'm not saying they are not dead, they're not out there. There are no men who have been keeping themselves and waiting for me. I'm sure there are so many of them out there, and I highly encourage it. If you look at the comment section of some of the videos I've done about waiting till marriage, you will see a lot of guys saying that I am 30 something and I am waiting. So there are a lot of guys out there that are waiting, and that's amazing for them. But the truth is, it's not everybody that, you know, had the Christian upbringing. A lot of people gave their life to Christ along the way. A lot of people had very difficult childhood. A lot of people got deceived. Some people got, you know, raped. Yes, both male and female. You know, and sometimes when you're an unbeliever, the Bible says that, you know, all things are passed away and all things have become new when you become a believer. But it's just unfortunate that if you've lost your virginity when you're an unbeliever, when you become a believer, your virginity does not automatically come back, right? So again, your feelings, your thoughts, your fears are valid, all right? But again, like I said, everybody has a past, right? And if a person has left their past life behind them, I think that sometimes it is hypocritical, as you know, of us Christians to always judge people by our past, especially because of the amount of grace that we have received from Christ, who doesn't judge us based on our sin, that, you know, not even our past sin, some of the sin that we still even commit till now, right? It doesn't judge us based on that. It came, he gave his life for us while we were yet sinners. And many of us, we claim to be Christians, or we are Christians, let me say that, but somehow we find it very difficult to overlook offense, to overlook the past life of a person, you know. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not like he hurt you in the past, or, you know, it's not, the past had nothing to do with you. It was his own journey. Everybody have their own journey and what led them to Christ. There are people who maybe even got married a virgin, but there are a lot of things that they did in the past that the only thing, I always say that there are a lot of virgins that we have right now that the only thing that they've not done is getting inside the thing. But there are so many things we've, you know, that, you know, may have explored before we got married. But at the end of the day, if the person is to also look at all of those things, imagine you now meet a guy who has never kissed a woman, never done that. What if he starts judging you with the kiss that you had or the hug that you had? Because really, if we want to judge by that standard, none of us should be doing that. Now, I'm not excusing the life that this guy lived before he met you. I do not encourage people living together before they are married, or having kids together, or even having sex, even sleeping together right before they get married. But at the end of the day, people have passed, right? And again, I said, as Christians, we've received so much grace from Christ. Why can we not extend that grace to people? And I'm saying this because I know people who, you know, used to have this ideology. People really close to me telling me I cannot marry a man who is not a virgin. And you see, I have seen people also get into marriage with scammers, with people who claimed, because how do you test if a man is a virgin? You don't even know. If it comes to you and they lied to you, because that's one thing you also need to know, that this guy was even open and honest to tell you that, listen, I have a past, this is what I've been through. What if he came and he was like telling you all this story, I've never been with a woman, I've never done this, I've never done that, and then you get into marriage with him with that ideology? Because people have done that. Many Christians will, because of our holier than thou attitude, sometimes we tend to be very judgmental, and a number of people see that and they target that. And you see, you now get wolves in sheep clothing who come in and, you know, claim to be who they are not. And I've seen Christians who are falling for that trap. You know, I know somebody who, virgin, amazing, nothing, you know, everything was good, and she was never going, you know, she was this person that this is my standard, I'm never going below this standard. And this guy came, appearance, everything, like holy brotherhood, praying, prayer warrior and everything. At the end of the day, we'll find out that it was just a scammer. But before she found out, it was too late for her. So sometimes many people, because we major on the minor. Now, I'm not saying that keeping yourself before marriage, because if I've done that, why can't you, right? I'm not saying that is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it is minor, but I'm saying that beyond all of that, beyond the person's past, there are other things that are even more important. Is he kind? Is he godly? What is his life now? What's his relationship with Christ like today? So if it's everything is good, and which with from your message I can sense that all of those aspects seems to be good and working, it is just this one aspect that he has had a past life. Again, it is a past for a reason. People learn from their past mistakes. Everybody has made mistakes, and even you that you have kept yourself almost always been single, I'm sure there are certain things that you would not want people to judge you by, right? So again, I'm saying this just generally in case there's anybody out there who is also in this dilemma. The decision is still ultimately left to you, but really I don't think that it is. You said something like, how do I forgive his past? I don't think it is in your place to forgive them. It's Christ that forgives, okay? And again, the reason why I said I don't think it's in your place is because everything he did was not against you, right? That was his journey that led him to be who he is today. The man that you see today, the person that you saw, that you fell in love with, that you like, these all the things that you love about him, they are all because of the experiences that he has had in this past. Those experiences that he has had is what shaped him to be the person that you love and appreciate as a person, right? But if you not like this person but you don't like his story, there's something is wrong somewhere. I'm not saying that you have to accept it. I'm not saying you're supposed to be comfortable with it. These are things you need to talk about. You need to have conversation. How did this happen? What is your feeling about it? What have you learned about it? How have you grown from this, right? What is your journey with Christ? What was your journey with Christ in that period? What is your journey now? How am I sure that this is not going to happen again? Now, these are things that you need to ask. But your Bible said that if we say we should close our eyes for all the bad people to pass, when the good person will pass, you will not know, right? So you cannot judge everybody based on their past, because nobody would like to be judged. I have made decisions in my past that I am not proud of. So would I want somebody to now judge me because of that? No. I have amazing ladies around me right now that they've had kids. They've never been married, but they have kids. So does it mean that every guy that come they are not entitled to marrying a virgin as a virgin husband, or they are not entitled to marrying a godly husband? No. Again, let's go back to the fact that we Christian, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So if I'm choosing not to date this guy, it's not because of his past that he has moved on from, that he has grown from, right? It's because of other factors. Maybe he's not God's will for me, or our values does not align. So many important things that you need to look out for in him. But if he had a rough past and he has moved on from that, again, I don't think any of us as Christians, I don't think we have the moral high ground. With all the grace we have received from Christ, I don't think we have the justification to judge anybody based on their past. Because he says he's a virgin. Let's even say he's a virgin. So what? Is that all that he is? Because he prays for 24 hours. You see him praying every day. Is that all that he is? How is it interpreted in his life? Is he really like Christ? There are so many things that we need to look out for when we are determining who we want to spend the rest of our life with. But one thing that, yes, the past is very important. You need to talk about it. You need to see this person is really who he is, right? When I met my husband, there were so many things about his past that kept showing up in our present in that time. But there were so many things that we had to work on, that he had to work on his own independently, and then we had to work on together to become, to get to the level where we are able to, become whole for each other. I hope that makes sense, right? And then we moved on into marriage. So what I'm saying is that discuss it, have conversation, ask the questions you want to ask, have the conversation that needs to be had. But don't be judgmental. Don't judge him. In short, the Bible always tells us not to judge people because nobody wants to be judged, right? So I don't want to overflog this, right? All I would say is, first of all, I do not want you to get into marriage with someone that you feel like, and a lot of Christians get into marriage with people that they feel like, oh, I am holier than them. No, not even get into marriage yet. I know a number of people who are in dilemma about, oh, he doesn't pray enough, he doesn't do this, because me, I pray in short, let me tell you the truth. When I met my husband, I used to be a person that every morning when I wake up, I have my quiet time, I pray, I do this, I do that. Like, my life is like, you cannot see me and not see Christ, right? The time when I met my husband, at that time, he was a Christian. He followed God, he prayed and did all of those, but my level of spirituality, my level of relationship in my own mind though with God was not equal to him. It does, like when he wakes up in the morning, it's not every time he takes his Bible to study, and all of that. And at a point I started to feel like, you are not there, you are not what's going on, you know, take your relationship with God seriously and all of that. But he had a good relationship with God, but it was not just equal to me. And to me, I interpret a good relationship with God as waking up in the morning every morning then to talk to God and all of that. And at a point, even when I didn't feel like doing it, I would still open my Bible. I was even when my mind is not there. But to me, that thing I was doing, those activities I was doing, is what equals a relationship with God. And I wanted him to be like me, even though he had his own relationship with God. You get that? And he was growing in that. Guess what? We got into marriage, affairs of life, you know, the storms of life, everything happened, and it was almost like a reverse. He was the one waking up midnight to pray, doing all of that, and I was the one that was like, I beg, Jesus, stay one side today. You get that? What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, there's no Christian that is like that is a standard for everybody. It's, you know, God is dealing with each of us in our own journey. And because you have been privileged not to be in situations where you were manipulated to be in a relationship, or you found yourself in a wrong relationship and all, does not mean that you judge a person who has worn that shoes, right? You don't know his own journey and his own life, you know, the crooked path that brought him there. There's a difference between the journey of Abraham, right, and the journey of David. David, from very young child, even though he had a very rough family, right, you could tell that his heart was always in, you know, yearning after God and all of that. Abraham came from a very atheist background, a very idolatry background, right? He came from idols, and God still called him out, right? But if you see the journey of the two of them, if you want to judge them by their past, if God were to judge by their past, Abraham should not be used. Rahab should not be used in the Bible. Should not even be in the she's not even be mentioned. Not to be talking about being in the lineage of Christ. Rahab, the prostitute, right? Leah should not be there, right? And so many other women that God used, so many other men that God used. There is no one that God called and God used that was perfect. Everybody has a story, and I'm sure you also have some stories that you would rather not let the world know about you. So if you do, and somehow you still expect people to accept you, why do you feel like because he has a past is not worthy? Like I said, his past should not be the major reason. As long as he has learned from it, he has moved from it, he has a solid relationship with God now. But again, don't go into a relationship if you feel like the person is unworthy of you, because you will get into the marriage and you would always feel like you made a wrong decision. So if you think that this is something that you cannot get past, please do not leave him alone for another Christian that will find him worthy, right? Don't get into marriage out of pity. Don't get into marriage don't even do it. If you feel like you will always feel superior to him because of his past, or you always see him through that lens, leave him for a person that will accept him and his past and move on to somebody else, right? Well, what I'm saying is your ideology, your mindset, everything needs to be renewed, right? I pray God will help us in Jesus' name. If you have any advice for this lady, please put it in the comment section below. I'm sure that she would really appreciate it. Okay, thank you guys so very much for watching. Until we meet again, I still remain Victoria Ideally Fashion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have an amazing week, okay, and happy Sunday. Bye. Bye guys.